Maurice Ray is the owner of Park Circle Creamery and a notable community leader. Now he wants to become the next council member for North Charleston District 5 on City Council. He tells me why for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Maurice Ray.
How we doing, Quintin?
I'm doing just great. Welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Man, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you in person.
Yes, in person. We had some difficulties.
Yesterday. No, technology's bad. I understand that.
Yes, sir. Listen.
But obviously, you're back on Quintin's Close-Ups because you are the owner of Park Circle Creamery.
Yes, sir.
Right there in the heart of Park Circle in North Charleston.
Yes, sir.
You're a husband. You're a father. And of course, now you are obviously a candidate for the open seat on North Charleston City Council for District 3.
Yes.
After that seat became vacant from the previous councilman.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, Mr. Maurice, why you? Why now for North Charleston City Council?
Because District 3 is now for District 3. It's a new day for District 3. It's a new day of hope. It's a new day of a new fight. It's a new day of team building. It's a new day of unity and community. I am the candidate that believes in building the bridge between the community and the city council. But more importantly, we got to build those small bridges in our community. We have a district full of strong, active leaders. And even in my speech on at our debate on Tuesday, I made it adamant. In order to be a leader, you need somebody to be a good follower as well, right? So for me, now is the time for us to see what unity looks like, what teamwork looks like. Doesn't matter if you're Republican, doesn't matter if you're Democrat, doesn't matter your any type of affiliation. We all live in this area together. We all share common needs and diverse needs. And we need a leader that understands that and is willing to fight for the whole. And I am that leader.
So let me ask you, Mr. Maurice, what are those common needs versus the diverse needs in District 3?
Awesome, great question. So, common need. We've been neglected on a wall, a sound barrier wall for over 30 years. We have residents that haven't had a picnic in their backyard or a backyard cookout. Right? Can you imagine owning your home for 30 years and can't even entertain people in your backyard? So that's a common need. We have a need to fix flooding. Right? These things have been addressed, but we need to carry the fight to make sure they get executed.
What exactly is your 5-point plan to solve flooding in your district?
Oh man, so we got to allocate resources. Right now the city is trying to allocate resources. They have identified what's needed for the, and I'm probably gonna get this terminology wrong, the drugging. They got to drug out these lakes. Dredges, thank you. I struggle with DR words.
No worries.
But so because of that, it costs us money, right? So this isn't a simple fix. Neither one of these issues are simple fix, meaning they're not going to be fixed this year. It takes time. In that time, we got to allocate resources, right? So the city needs time to develop the resources to fix these issues, as well as the community has to take this time and be patient on what's going on, but they need information, they need to be informed. They need to know, hey, our issue is actively being addressed and this is how, right? So the goal is to get all 3 ponds and lakes dragged out to allow adequate flow of our drainage, right? That's one thing. The wall issue, same thing. That takes time. You're talking about a big budget item, right? Where do these funds come from? Our current administration has identified both of these as a need, right? So now what our community needs is consistent communication, right? So they're on the table, they're being discussed, that we're trying to find the funds, so it needs to be communicated to the people. What's going on, a status update. We all need information. We're in a right now society, right? What's more important to the common individual? The information.
Obviously, Mr. Maurice, you mentioned that they have the needs available, but where are the resources?
That's the tough part. So one of the things that I like to see And this is me being a dreamer, but this is what I like to see. To do a multi-million-dollar project, you do need private investors, right? I do believe when you start planting seeds and start cultivating the ground per se, things come. One of the ways you can cultivate the ground, we have several baseball fields. We have awesome facilities. We have a new school being built. Well, one of the things I want to see is a proactive approach in the community. Why aren't the civic leagues having a chance to run concession booths, right? Generating resources. It's different when we, over a period of time, can generate our own resources and say, hey, we may not have a lot, but we got something to offer, right? Now, when you talk about private lender, you're talking about people that's willing to invest in the community. They're looking to see what that community has come up with. So it's different when the civic associations say, I got 10,000. We got two big prominent civic associations. What happens when the HOA community, like in my community, say, I got 10,000, that's 30,000. No, that isn't a lot of money when you're talking about a multi-million-dollar project. But that shows investors, hey, these people are willing to change their current situation. And that's what I look forward to bringing. I want to bring in the knowledge on how to generate resources in the community so we have something to offer so we can get more resources.
Let me ask you then, where exactly in your district can you use those facilities right now?
Oh my goodness, so we have an awesome gym. We have an active baseball field right now, right? One of the funniest things about it, you could take the format of what the city is doing. I saw Bruce Creek had a 5K cop walk, right? When you're talking about stopping the violence and you're talking about community engagement, what happens when in our district we can host a small carnival? What happens in our district when we can host our own 3K run, right? Now you're talking about building up a community. You're talking about building up everybody. You're talking about people taking pride in stuff that we do. Then when you talk about allocated resources, again, these civics associations are nonprofits, right? So we put this here. Why? Because now the civic, hey, we got a wall fund. We got a wall fund. Now look at what we're saying to the city. Look at what, no, we need these, we need this, and this is what we're willing to do about it. That's different. That's different than sitting on the sidelines. That's being in the game. That's being in the game during the fourth quarter saying, I want the ball. And that's what I bring to the table.
And obviously, Mr. Maurice, you mentioned those civic leads and other nonprofit organizations. So where's that communication between them, the city, and the community as far as helping to fund these projects?
And that's one of the things that I want to bring to the community. Everybody's talking about a town hall. I saw something tremendous on Tuesday. I saw our community. So one of the things that I'm excited is to have monthly meetings with all the leaders in the community, as well as quarterly town halls, to give people a chance to express their views, right? My campaign is built off of unity and community. My campaign is built off of let's make a fist an impactful blow on all our issues. That's why it's a new day. How do we do this? We're one voice, we're one people, we're united on individual causes collectively. What does that mean? We need a wall, we're gonna attack the wall together. Once that's done, now we can attack the flooding together. Once that's done, what's next? Everything is designed for us to always be giving into ourselves so we can be prepared to give of ourselves, if that makes sense.
Going to the wall, Mr. Maurice, how does dense trees and vegetation affect noise, and where can you actually plant trees to act as a noise barrier in the meantime until you get the money?
Well, unfortunately, one of the things I'm about to say is because of the current project, right, it's a lot easier just to build a sound barrier wall than have natural barriers. We used to have natural barriers, but they weren't strong enough, right? I would love if, and then it wouldn't have took that much money, right? because we already had the natural barriers, right? So all we needed was a smaller version of the wall, right? Well, we're deprived of all that. Since we're deprived of all that, this is where we're at. You go down 26, you don't see those natural barriers anymore. So I don't think we need natural barriers. I think we need a barrier, right? A barrier that will reduce significantly the amount of noise coming from 26.
In what way would an earthen beam be an effective noise barrier?
I'll be honest with you, at this point, anything will be effective if it's cost efficient, right? Even if it is even if it's natural resources, right? Even if it's trees or landscape or a physical barrier or a earthen barrier, right? Any of these things would be significant. Right now, we don't have anything. We don't have anything. We have a whole I-26 project in people's backyard, and you got this little piece of plastic as a barrier.
So, I know many people have moved into the neighborhood since, time has progressed, Mr. Maurice. So have you all been able to do a new study on this particular noise barrier and how much noise is being generated from 26?
So I'm not sure the total amount of noise that's being generated, and even a study at this point is to me a waste of taxpayer money, right? Because the proof is in the pudding. Just go sit in somebody's backyard, right? These things have already been identified as a problem. So going backwards to collect data on how much or how significant, we're beyond that point. We need certain solutions.
And Mr. Maurice, since this noise has been in existence in District 3, how many more people have moved into this area and have actually had health problems as a result of this?
As far as the health problems, I don't have an accurate number, and of course it'll be what they're hearing. However, the people that's moving to the district, they're moving for affordability, they're moving for security. We have one of the most secure districts in North Charleston. We have one of the most affordable districts in North Charleston. How can I say this? The noise, you're being forced to choose, right? So this is economically feasible for my family, but may not be physically comfortable for me. And that's the choice, and I don't think that's a fair choice.
Where do you see economic development in District 5 in the next 5 to 10 years?
Great question. This is why I am an advocate for us generating our own resources. I'm an advocate for us to host our own low league tournaments, right? To generate our resources. When you look at District 3, we are enclosed. We don't have a lot of room for growth, right? And then when you look at the economics on university, that's the bulk of the businesses. And one of the sad parts, on Tuesday night at 10 o'clock, it's hard to get something to eat because everything's closed, right? So we don't have a lot of room for economic growth, but I love education, right? We have a lot of room and time to develop financially educated community. We have room and time to teach people how to generate their own resources. We have room and time to teach a community how to put on an event and feed itself, right? So when you talk about economic growth, I really want to see Northwoods Baptist Church right there. They do an excellent job. What happens when the community can donate to the church, and now on the 4th of July, the display is even grander, right? Like North Charleston District 3 is a blue collar, hard-working district that is a standalone district. And I feel that is the pride that we need to embrace in our district. That's what I want to see out of our district. That impacts our economic. That is the real growth, right? Because we don't have physical growth. But man, we can do a lot with this mental education. We'll do a lot building up our own resources and giving back to ourselves.
What resources do you need right now to help with that growth?
Oh my gosh. Everybody said we need money, right? But I am an advocate for education. I think the time is now to educate the people, not just economically, but on a lot of things that's coming. The low country transit, that's coming throughout district. We need to start educating the kids now, right now, on the impact, right? We need to educate, and all this goes down to budgeting, right? It's easier to sell, hey man, I need to catch the bus because I'm gonna save more money, right? But it's hard to develop those habits, those muscles, right? Of repetition, just like anything else. That's where the training comes in. So right now we need to have a onslaught of education on what's coming to our communities, the impact on our district right now. And we're not having those conversations. But I'm excited to bring those conversations to the community with my town hall meeting, so that communication can flow effectively, directly, and consistently.
What exactly are the growth projections for District 5? District 3?
So as of right now, I could not tell you the growth. I could tell you inside the low country, I think it's like 60 people move here a day, right? Even in District 3 right now, we have a project going on. I think it's like 200 units being built up. So we're growing. We don't have the room to grow. We have people now complaining about the between 6 and 8 o'clock. Oh my gosh, it's rough, right? So we are grown right now. We're to me maximum capacity. So now we have to manage this. What tools do we do to implement to manage our growth now? One of the things I presented was synchronized lights, so we can get traffic moving floor a little bit more on our main roads, right? But far as building up, I don't think we have room for building up. We have room for affordable housing. We have room for workforce placement. Like we have property, we have houses, we have a lot of elderly, we have a lot of vacant houses. So we're perfect for individuals that work in the city to come live in, right? So we have a lot of fixes to a lot of the city problems in our district versus us growing like other areas.
What do you need exactly? Do you need affordable housing? Do you need workforce housing or attainable housing, Mr. Maurice?
We need all of it. Every individual should have an opportunity for ownership. I believe that the American dream, you can't accomplish the American dream without ownership. And I believe each one of us have diverse backgrounds, diverse needs, so we need as many opportunities to accomplish that.
How do you accomplish that in District 3?
Education and communication. Allocating these resources by being members of City Council, being at the forefront, so when these opportunities come, we have the resources to allocate to the community so that they can take advantage of these opportunities. A lot of times, it's like grants. Grants stay on the board for years and nobody apply for them because a lot of them don't know, right? But being on the forefront of the information, now we can properly dispense that information and give the people opportunity. A lot of times people need you to believe in them more than they believe in themselves. When my mom bought her first house, she bought her first house because of me and my brother, not because of her. So a lot of this stuff, in order for somebody to dream, you got to give them something to dream. They will be what they see. And a lot of times you got to be the vision for them. You got to paint the picture for them. These resources allow that picture to be painted. You got people that live in Fairwinds. There's not a thought of home ownership. There's not a thought of affordable housing outside of Section 8. I'm gonna live here till I die. But what happens when you can move around the corner of the house and cut your own grass? And you talk about attack on crime. Man, I'm going to defend my land, even if that means carrying my tail of bed so I can get up to work the next morning so I can have it for tomorrow. See, when something happens, we want to, but it's the consistency that breeds success. What do we have to be consistent at? We got to be consistent at replanting the American dream to each individual so we can give each individual an opportunity for success.
How many people actually own homes in your district versus renting?
I believe it was, I believe the district, and I could be wrong, I want to say it's 60-40, and I can't remember the slide. I want to say it's 60% home ownership versus renting, and I know a lot of that changed since 2023.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are moving fast, and it could be reversed. You might as well say 50-50, right? Because even in my community, you have homeowners and renters as well. But that's the state that we're in. Look at the housing market. Look at the interest rate, right? But one of my neighbors, what they do is real estate guy. He helps people repair their credit, right? So you're renting to own. You know what I mean? That's an opportunity. So where a lot of people see problems, we really need to look at solutions. It's time out for the rich getting richer, and I'm not talking about financially or economically, I'm talking about on an educated standpoint. People that are rich in knowledge are very hesitant on sharing that knowledge because of the price of that knowledge. Well, we got to share this knowledge. We may not get 10 people to grab a hold to it, we may get one. And we got to start with success stories. When we develop these programs, we got to attach success stories next to them so somebody else can see that could be me, right? And we got to market this stuff. We got to celebrate this stuff. If we have one individual that came out of Fairwinds and got affordable housing, if we have one individual that worked for the city and got a chance to buy their first house, we got to reward it. We got to display it. That needs to be the next commercial, right? Why? Because we're literally displaying an opportunity for someone else.
What is the average price of a home in your district?
So the average prices range from $200,000 to $300,000.
Wow.
Right? But we have a lot of houses that are older. We have a lot of houses that are abandoned.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So not concerned about price, but with the right resources, we can allocate the information and the education needed to fix this stuff.
What resources do you have to bring more affordable housing to your district?
Well, I'm looking forward to being on city council to connect with individuals to bring resources not just to my district, but to the city. Like, it's proven with all these projects going on right now, it's proven the funding. When we allocate funding for educating people prior to just doing the project, when we allocate funding to the impact of the community prior to just, again, while I'm here, right? So with a direct focus on the community and the need of the community and a direct focus on educating the community and allocating resources to educate the community so that they can have the opportunity to change their lives, I believe we'll bring the resources collectively.
How many residents in your district actually know about home ownership?
A lot. When you look at the numbers, it's really 50-50. So there's a variety of people. What's happening in our district, you have individuals that have raised kids and their kids are successful citizens and not coming back home. You see what I'm saying? Don't want to live back home, right? Your parent did their job. The citizens in my community aren't being rewarded for the good they did. And now I want to reward them, right? How? The elderly that help invest in the young folks. One of the things is when you start having more community engagements, you start creating opportunities for unique relationships to be built, right? When relationships are built, information is transferred. When information is transferred, our society grows. And that's how this works.
How do you retain those people, Mr. Maurice, to stay in their districts and be able to stay there for years to come?
So just like everywhere, I use a work atmosphere, right? As a owner, how do I keep my employees happy? By one, being the example. Being the example. What do I mean by that? I'm gonna show up on time. Apologies, I got.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
But I'm gonna be accountable. I'm gonna be accountable not just to you, but to myself.
Sure.
Right? But two, the spirit of happiness, the spirit of joy. Right? People, it's simple to make a person happy. A lot of times you just gotta smile. But more importantly, a lot of times you just gotta listen. It's interesting when you teach people how to listen, you actually teach them how to be successful. What happens now when we teach the parent that's used to yelling at their kid to talk to their kid? What happens when we teach the community when we teach the leaders in the community how to effectively communicate? What happens during the town hall when we have 15 minutes of leadership training? Right? One of the things in the military that I love is we train all the time. The Bible tells us, train a child in the way that he shall go, and the training shall never depart from it. Why? You should always be in a status of training. Training is one of the most selfless things you can do, but it's one of the easiest ways for someone to gain education. Right? That is how we win. How we win is a direct approach daily on giving of ourselves to the community. And it has to start from the top. So it has to start from me and work its way down.
And what else do you want to train the district in when it comes to issues like this, such as affordable housing, home ownership, and obviously quality of life?
I want to train them on all. To be happy, how do you feel when you go home and you like your home? You could have a rough day at work. Then when you get home, and that's what I believe every American should work to have. And that's where it comes from. That isn't hard. That isn't big, but it's needed.
I know obviously, traffic light issues and obviously, home ownership and houses are something that are needed right now in your district. But you also told me, Mr. Maurice, that listen, we don't have enough land yet. So is vertical growth needed for your area?
I don't agree with vertical growth. I really don't agree with vertical growth. I believe in my district, our district is designed for a member to live 30 plus years in our district. I believe that sense of peace, that sense of salah, is consistently accomplishable when we educate our people. When you look in our district with the needs of people speed and they need to slow down, right? That's individualized. But a complete community assault on one issue changes that, right? It makes everybody happy. I believe in positive peer pressure. One of the most positive peer pressures that we deal with in a normal society is our neighbor grass looks better than ours, right? Man, I gotta fix that, right? So these are the things when you teach people how to care and how to maintain and be good stewards, they rise up to the teaching.
You talk about maintaining and obviously taking care of things. How can you actually fix traffic around your district without necessary infrastructure?
Infrastructure is a huge issue throughout the city. We're in Charleston. There's not much room for growth. Vertical growth is needed throughout the city. However, a lot of issues we can't fix, we have to manage. And I know that's not the thing that we want to hear, but when we're impacted with boundaries, you can't fix all that, right? What can you do? What you can do is manage, control the things that you can control. And that's what we need to do. We need to have a direct approach on how to manage the growth in our district, how to manage the traffic in our district, how to manage the safety in our district, so we can maintain and stabilize it for long periods of time.
And one last question for you, Mr. Maurice. How do you manage that growth with smart growth?
I want to say intentionality, right? Because smart growth literally gives you, it's a plan to grow. It's looking at the impact of growth from the last X amount of years and the projected growth for the X amount of years, and strategically planning, okay, where can we develop? What can we use and what can we not use? And how can we use it more effectively, right? It's all smart growth. So just using smart growth, we're here because years ago, and I'm not putting this on any administration, but years ago, people did what they knew to do, right? We're learning now some of the things that other cities done dealing with smart growth, right? So we're not in a bad position because there's people and there's cities that's gone before us. So strategically and collectively, because I can't do that by myself. And that's why you have the council. That's why you have the mayor to make these decisions collectively to identify for the whole city what should we be doing in the aspect of growth. The 200 units in our district, I don't believe that was a smart growth plan, right? When we're struggling right now with an overpopulated school, how's that smart growth, right? But the new school in our district, that's part of smart growth. That helps fix the need. So I could see where certain things have been identified, and again, we won't be able to hit everything, and I get that, but strategically and collectively, we can make this city better, and that's what I'm about.
Where in the comprehensive plan for the city can you update certain things for your district and the city as a whole?
So the comprehension plan, this is education. And this is why I say it's education. We have to prepare the people for what's coming. I think the information's been out there citywide, but I don't think the training has been identified and implemented on what's needed from the citizens for this to be effective, right? And it affects everybody. District 5, District 3, District 1. It affects all us in different ways. I use the Low Country Transit, right? The Low Country Transit affects District 3. It doesn't affect District 5, but it does, right? Because when you look at it, where District 5 ends, right? You got a whole nother county because you're going down Lansing, right? You got a whole nother county, right? So now we got to work with that, and that's already in the works, right? So just the transit system alone is complex and affects everybody, and that's part of the comprehension plan, right? So we have to prepare the people on everything that's coming, how that affects you, because right now transit doesn't affect me. In 5 years, it's going to dramatically affect my son. It's going to dramatically affect my kids. So we as a collective body have to educate the citizens on impact if we want these things to be successful.
What is the biggest impact in your district?
Oh man, the biggest impact, and I got to go back to that, is the sound barrier wall. Okay. The second biggest impact is our lakes. The third biggest impact is traffic. All these are safety issues, right? And I'm not overlooking crime. I'm not overlooking anything of that sort and saying, hey man, we need a wall more than we need a stop on crime. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because it's a high ticket item, that needs to be at the forefront. Because it takes time, it takes resources to get this done. The crime and the onslaught on crime, we individually as well as a collective have to be on guard. We have to use the resources there. We have to inform the police of what's going on. We have to inform our neighbors what's going on. We have to do a better job relating each other to decrease crime, and that's part of education, right? We got to educate ourselves on our neighbors.
Where exactly in District 5 can you put a substation right now?
And so we actually have in District 3, we have the Carter substation by the old Kmart where the T-Mobile's at. That is the only thing that I saw planned for anything like that affects our district. But our district has 2 large parking lots. We have the where Miller Mart's at and where T-Mobile's at.
Sure.
So we have the space to aid with those 2 facilities, with those 2 parking lots. Outside of that, we don't.
I mean, meaning the police substation.
So we already have the craziest thing. We have a police substation right there on North Charleston. And everybody talks about crime, and I'm not turning a blind eye to the crime. I am actually complimenting everybody that came before me. Everybody that fight for gun violence, everybody that fight for suicide awareness, everybody that fight for abuse, every fight on any type of crime, I am an advocate for fighting against, right? But we have a substation right there. I feel that we need more supervision during certain times in our district. We need more, not policing, but more presence, just more drive-arounds, right? Because that will minimize a lot of this stuff. When we have, our cops are already going around in our district. What happens when, hey man, we already know between 10 and 2, they're gonna be patrolling. That's the high target crime time, right? What happens when we get our patrollers actually patrolling more in our district? That's how I wanna minimize crime and make our police force more accessible to our community and build more relationships with our police force in our community.
How could you tackle gun violence without giving grants to these nonprofits?
By calling a press conference, being a citizen and activating your rights and saying, hey, I want this to stop. And I say that as blunt as possible because you don't need grant nor money to use your voice. A lot of the most productive people didn't use money, they used their natural resource. A lot of times, and I'm not saying you don't need money. What I am saying is when you get money, it is your responsibility to do right with the money. That's all I'm saying about that. But if you're talking about making a stance, no matter what it is, all you need is you and your voice in a made up mind that I'm going to make a stance and let people know.
Maurice Ray, thank you so much for your time again. Welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much for having me, Quintin. Thank you so much.
Okay, well,
I enjoyed it.
oh, anytime. Yes, sir.
Friend.
Yes, sir.